So this presentation is very special for me for several reasons. As I mentioned, this is my first public presentation on Backendless. And second, it is our home base, Dallas that is, so definitely makes me feel better just to start with Dallas and talk about our latest creation. So what is Backendless? Well, first and foremost, it is a development of runtime platform. Okay. For those who know what we were doing previously, which is basically client-server integration with our product called WebWork, we provided connectivity between client-side applications and server-side applications. So the logical trajectory of our development was actually put it in the cloud and make everything that our product does available as a set of services. So with Backendless, you can develop mobile and desktop applications without worrying about the backend at all, so with no server-side coding is required. And it is done in a way where most common server-side functionality, that is persistence, data storage, message broadcasts, user registrations, logins, file uploads, pretty much everything that is done on the server is now packaged as a set of services. And those services are exposed to you through the APIs. So there are endpoints out there and APIs available for many client-side environments, including one for ActionScript. But not only ActionScript, there is one for iOS, for Android, for Windows Phone, Java.NET, JavaScript, REST. So those endpoints are out there, and you can actually consume those services and accomplish everything that you would normally accomplish on the server side directly from the client by tapping into those services. Okay. The actual product is a combination of the APIs that I mentioned and the developer's console. I'm going to tap into the console just to show you what it looks like and how you interface with it. As far as the actual services, there are 6 of them, 6 core services. I'm going to give you a quick rundown to show what those services are and how to work with them. So user management service, for any application that has, let's say, user registration screen, you deal with user management. You have to register those users. You have to provide the functionality for login, logout, and so on. So the user management service makes it possible to handle all of those operations through the very easy-to-use APIs. Okay. So, for instance, and there are a lot of different use cases which come to user management. If you think about it, register and login is like the most common. However, password confirmation, password recovery, establishing session, making sure that, let's say, if there is a user account and you want to restrict people logging in with that user account from different machines, you want to put that business logic in there. If they try log in for X number of times, you want to log out because someone is trying to break into the system. So there are a lot of different use cases that you would normally, if you are a server-side developer or if you're building an application, you would have to take care of those use cases. And here, all of that is automatically taken care of, and you can configure the business logic for your app by using Backendless, and then just drive that functionality through the APIs. So for instance, login would look like this. Okay, so I try to adapt all of the examples to ActionScript format. However, as far as the APIs, if you build with Android, iOS, or JavaScript, the APIs look almost identical, given the differences, syntax differences between the languages. So here, let's say if you want to register a user, you provide, or log in the user, you provide the login in your application, get identity and a password, and log in like this. Data service. Data service is really the cornerstone, because pretty much every application out there deals with data. You need to save that data. And if you have ever written any kind of client-server application and built server-side code, writing persistence code is very routine-like. It's like create, retrieve, update, delete, multiplied by the number of tables. You add store procedures, views, whatever, and it becomes a very boring task because you're writing basically the same type of code, just dealing with different tables and so on. Here, you don't need to worry about it at all. Schemas can be created on the fly. So for instance, to create a table in the cloud or locally, depending how you run Backendless, you basically just create an object. In fact, there is an example here. So you create, let's say, person object, populate the properties, name, age, email address, and you basically say persistence.auth, specify the class, save. Okay? Request goes out to Backendless out there. We check if we have a table that can accommodate this kind of data structure. If not, we create a table on the fly and we populate it with data. So for every property here on this particular class, there's going to be a column in the corresponding table. And there are APIs to do to run queries, to update data, to delete, and so on. And I'm going to show you a few examples that demonstrate this concept in action. But the cool thing about it is that you don't need to know SQL. You don't need to know anything about how to create schemas or how to write stored procedures or anything. And it's out there. And it's kind of cool, but the biggest win is that if you are building an application, and let's say you know SQL and you know how to create tables and so on, the most challenging thing is building it in a way where it scales, where it's secure, and it's fault tolerant. Okay, so for instance, if you build an app and it grows to have a lot of different users and there's a huge traffic hitting the database, creating an architecture that can scale and accommodate all of that traffic is hard. That's where the real challenges come in. Now here, we're bringing the bar so low that anybody can build an app and really benefit from the qualities of like auto-scaling, backups, security, and fault tolerance. Okay, because it is something that is built into our architecture. So if your application grows to have 100 million users, it is guaranteed to work because we will basically start expanding the infrastructure automatically to support that kind of traffic for any application out there that is built on top of our stuff. Audio and video streaming and recording. So if you build an app that needs to start streaming audio and video, either for recording or for live broadcast, here you don't need to worry about any of the streaming servers. You don't need to figure out how to launch your Red 5 or WASO or FMS or whatever, because that infrastructure is out there and all you do is just use the APIs. But here, if you want to just publish a stream from the camera on the device or on the computer, one method call that specifies the video channel, the name of your stream, and it's it. You basically just start streaming from this camera out there, and anybody can come in, or not anybody, depending how you configure security, you can come in and tune into that channel and start watching a video. Or you can just record it out there and play back later. Or if you just want to record it and grab that file, you can just do it right there through the console. I'll give you a demo of that as well. So audio and video streaming in a way that scales and cloud-based, where all you do is just use the APIs, I think it's going to be a very, very powerful feature. And there are a lot of different use cases where you can apply it. Let's say if you build an app and you want to have like a way to connect to support, just click the button, and the support persons out there can have a live audio chat with you using this particular feature.
Mind if I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I have a question. So the data persistence, great, wonderful, makes sense. And all of a sudden one day I say, okay, I now want to start publishing streams. Do I have to go into the dashboard and set up that yes, I'm publishing streams, and now I update my account to being plus $30 a month, or whatever it is to have streaming, or is it just start typing?
You can just start typing.
Okay.
Everybody starts with a free plan. There's a free plan, and we can talk about pricing.
Sorry, yeah.
Right. So basically, in the most with a free plan, which is trimmed down and it has limitations, but it doesn't have any functional limitations. It has limitations on how many video streams you could have, how many number of users could register, and so on. But as far as the functionality, there are no functional limitations. And you don't need to do any setup like enable video. Well, it's all included in there. You can trim down security. Let's say if there is a user, if a non-authenticated user cannot publish stream, then you log into the console and basically change the permission. Okay. But out of the box, it's open.
Okay.
So file service is an ability to upload file into your application and share it with other users. So think about Dropbox, like implementing it on top of this would be fairly straightforward. And the file service is basically the traditional file structure out there in the cloud. There is an API to upload files, and it looks something like this. Basically, Backendless with files upload, specify file reference, the file goes out there. And there's also Git interface, so you can commit files into your file storage through Git, and the files just go out there. Every file that is uploaded, there's a URL that you can just fetch the file from. There is a special directory in your file storage that is mounted automatically to a web server, so you can actually host your website right there for your Backendless application. Geolocation is another very cool feature. So, and it basically provides two core services. One is you can upload your geospatial information, which really is combination of latitude and longitude, coordinates, and which is a geopoint. For every geopoint, you can attach metadata. And metadata is a collection of key value pairs. And it could be anything, okay? What makes this cool is that the second part of geolocation is search. And the way search works is that you can say, find me all the geopoints from this particular coordinate within certain radius that has certain metadata. And the metadata, there is basically a syntax that you can express to say, you know, where a certain value is greater than, or and group it with, and basically there's like SQL92 syntax for expressing metadata searches. And we have optimized this algorithm where it is instantaneous. So we have tested it with several million points in there, and it's always sub-second result for returning the data back to you. One of the demos that we put together, it's a dating application. So you basically fill out a profile and say, I like, you know, French food, and I like blondes or whatever, and you basically specify kind of profile of interest, and the other party comes in and fills out their profile, and then we run matches with geo coordinates. You can say, find me within 100 yards, anybody who, you know, has similar interests as I do, and it just comes back, and this data is just, could be live because your phone could be updating coordinates right there. This is what it looks like to run search for geopoints where, you know, key is city, valley is Dallas, and any geopoint that has this kind of metadata is going to come back as a result for that query. Publish subscribe messaging, fairly common concept if you have ever worked with MSNQ, MQ series, ActiveMQ. It's an ability to publish a message, and it goes out to anybody who subscribes to a particular channel. Okay? What makes this powerful is that there is a very powerful filtering mechanism. So you can subscribe to receive messages that have certain headers, for instance. Or you can say, you know, I'm interested only in messages that contain, you know, certain tag. And when you publish, you put this tag in there, and then Backendless automatically routes the messages to the subscribers. It is completely cross-platform, so you could have consumers, subscribers in any supported language, or basically any language if you use REST, because there is a REST interface for everything. So you subscribe, specify filters, and you know, what kind of messages you're interested in, and then any other client can start publishing, and then Backendless automatically routes those messages between the producers and consumers. So here's an example of how you subscribe to a certain channel. There is a method responder, basically says yes, you have subscribed. Subscription responder is where messages arrive once Backendless routes them to you. We also support push notifications. So push notifications are, you know, classic kind of native built-in notifications on mobile devices. Okay. What makes push notifications challenging, if you ever tried implementing them, is that for every single provider, whether it's Google, Microsoft, or Apple, you have to write custom code. So you basically subscribe to the notification service, and you pass in the token that they assign to you to the server, and the server have to write custom code to talk to all of those providers. So here, all of that is already done. And you basically use very simple API to register your device, and we take care of all of that automatically in our SDKs. And then to send the push notification, it could be done from any client that we support, or through REST as well. So you basically can just say, deliver this notification to, let's say, only Android and iOS devices, and it's done. So here is an example of how we publish a notification. We say delivery options is going to be target only Android devices. So here it's going to use default channel. There's also another overloaded method with the channel name, but anybody who subscribed to the default channel will receive this push notification. And I'll show you a demo of this.